with your pasta. Now, for sauce number two, we are going to take our blender, and this is a very rich, unctuous sauce, and I call it on my blog the vodka sauce, vodka cream sauce, but it has no cream, no vodka. And as you can see, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put the equivalent of about 3 to 4 Roma tomatoes cooked down into our blender. So we're going to stir our tomato sauce here and get this down, cooked down. It cooks to almost to 30% of what its original volume is. You can even cook it down more than that to about 25% or a quarter of its original volume. I like to do about 30% so I have a little bit more sauce. And this recipe will thicken up as it cools. And remember, calcium helps maintain oncotic pressure. Usually I would tend to use olive oil or coconut oil, but my body was craving this milk fat. It's actually healthier to have some fatty dairy, whole fat dairy in your 40s at the end of your fertile years. During lactation, the mother has to provide a large amount of calcium to her fetus, and this happens through parathyroid-related protein. It's similar to parathyroid hormone, which regulates calcium balance in the body. Calcium during lactation comes from the mother's bone and is regulated by this parathyroid-related protein. And the parathyroid-related protein stimulates the bones. It causes the bones to release calcium, so you can give your baby calcium. And there's a huge amount of calcium that goes into the milk. That's between 200 and 400 milligrams per day. It's huge when you're inside of your RJ of the 1,000. You're giving half of that to your baby, or close to half of that to your baby. That's where's the rest of the calcium coming from that you need? It's coming from your bones, because you're not going to be able to you don't consume that much. And even if you do consume supplements for increased calcium, this hormone still is active and still causes calcium to be pulled from the bones. And that's how vital it is. You know, some nutrients are not hormonally regulated. Calcium is hormonally regulated. You have to have these mechanisms in place. And then we're going to add 2 sweet potatoes and continue talking about vitamin D and calcium. Vitamin D is super important in regards to calcium usage and uptake in the body. If you don't have sufficient vitamin D, you will have decreased absorption of calcium. And also, if you have low vitamin D, you will have decreased accretion or calcium deposition in your bones. And that's one of the main roles of calcium in the body, besides being a massive intracellular communicator and regulating fluid volume, is structural in building your bones. And that's usually where we look at first to see what's needed. Vitamin D, you must be in the sun to be getting vitamin D. I go in the sun without sunblock, just on my neck and face or my hands, the areas that I really want to protect or where I don't want to turn brown, 3 times a week for an hour and a half. Full bright sunlight, and I try to wear a little shorts and let my stomach show, even with all my, postpartum, like, okay, my stomach looks great, but it's been better. And I just say I'm grateful for how healthy and strong my body is. And for my dinner tonight, I say I was hacking, I'm going to I'll make this for lunch tomorrow, I'm going to pull off the red peppers, the one half of the red peppers, and the other half of the strips. So you can see there, I pulled off the pepper strips, and then I'm going to put the rest of the pepper on here. Now, vitamin D is itself dependent upon zinc, and that's because the vitamin D responsive element requires zinc to function. So you can have a functional calcium deficiency if you are low in zinc, and that's due to the role that zinc plays in activating the vitamin D element receptor, which is just a receptor all the vitamin D receptors need zinc to be activated so that they can actually bind to vitamin D, and zinc causes a conformational change in the receptor, and when it's got zinc there, then your cell's like, oh, I can actually see the vitamin D. When it doesn't have the zinc there, the cell is like, oh, vitamin D, I don't know where it's at, I forgot my glasses. Zinc glasses. We're going to add half a teaspoon of salt. Calcium is also affected by salt concentrations in your food. Now this salt concentration is healthy salt concentration, but if you have too high sodium intake, you can inhibit calcium absorption. We're going to add 1/4 cup of honey, and sweet tomato sauce always goes well together. And if you have, for example, if you're eating a high calcium pizza with lots of cheese, especially commercially prepared pizza, not a pizza that I show you how to make, this high sodium level can actually inhibit the amount of calcium that you absorb. So you have to be careful and view diet holistically and not just think, oh, well, I ate my big pizza from the local diner and now I'm going to have some leafy greens, and with that cheese and leafy greens I got enough calcium. Not necessarily. And then you're going to add a little oregano or whatever herb that you've got. This time I'm going to add a little basil because I've got a lot of basil and I'm really excited to use some of this lovely basil. Calcium absorption can be inhibited by other foods as well, such as oxalates, and oxalates are in a lot of your dark leafy greens. My recipe calls for a full teaspoon of salt. I'm going to go ahead and put that in now. Then mix up by spoon because the blender's about to give out, but I've got it all smooth. And this lovely vitamin A rich sauce would be excellent for a lady in her 3rd trimester or lactation, especially the 4th trimester right after giving birth, 3 months after giving birth, because a woman needs the highest vitamin A at that period of time. And so maximizing your vitamin A input, this sauce is going to be much more nutritious and helpful to the woman than this sauce, even though both are super nutritious. Food's coming, boo. It's gonna be ready in 2 minutes. Actually, I have some I can give to you right now. After 30 minutes, you can take your pasta out, and it takes a long time to cook because it's very thick, so don't worry. If you have kids, they're not gonna know the difference. It's so delicious. Now, if you have a man who's used to eating pasta, fettuccine alfredo in a restaurant, well, he might take some toast. And then I'm gonna set the rest of my pasta aside here. I like to keep a little bit of pasta water, but 1 or 2 tablespoons, remember. Set this aside. And the recipe calls for Swiss chard, so we're going to add some Swiss chard. Why did I put Swiss chard in? Well, because it's super high in calcium. Just like our feta cheese, and these 2 ingredients are adding the highest quantity of calcium. Yes. Go ahead.
If you have a kid, they won't know the difference.
You love this dish, don't you? It's your favorite. You're pumped, huh?
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Yeah.
This is my dish.
Flash approved, huh? Okay. Now let's talk about other things that affect calcium absorption, calcium bioavailability, and the overall calcium levels that result in your body. It's true that foods like Swiss chard, even though they're high in calcium, also contain oxalates. And I actually am not too concerned about compounds such as oxalates. I think it's a little ridiculous to say that these compounds, that most of the information regarding that is theoretical. It's not really been shown through rigorous testing in the body. Okay, are we consuming oxalates every single day? And then what is our calcium level with the same calcium intake as another time when we're not consuming oxalate every day? But I mean, have you seen the study? I have not seen a study like that can regardless. It is true that greens have a lower bioavailability in general than foods like calcium, than dairy-containing foods like cheese or milk. Now, this is not really such a big issue unless you're consuming very, very low levels. If you're consuming 800 milligrams above a day of calcium, the bioavailability is not an issue. You don't need a huge bioavailability. Your body is going to be able to regulate your calcium uptake and intake, especially during pregnancy when you have hormonal changes and lactation. Hormonal changes regulating the calcium absorption, excretion, taking for the bones of calcium to provide the baby or the fetus with calcium. No. Yes, and taking rhythm. No, that's not right. And so I'm going to put this and I'm going to saute it in some butter, which kind of gives the world a theme. Also, you can do olive oil. I just think that I need a little butter right now. And it's crazy because I was dairy-free for 15 years, but when you enter your 40s, you have a greater need for fats in your diet, and actually consuming full-fat dairy can help extend your fertility. So why not? Our brains are working better then.
And then you help make this.
Yeah.
Eat. So you can eat. It looks like it's actually red pasta and white. That's why there's too much teeth in it. So it's white. And it tastes pretty yummy. I'm going to show you. Take a bite. That's it. And bye-bye.
I cooked my pasta for 34 minutes and I dropped it directly into boiling water. One helpful tip is when you take the dried pieces to kind of pull them apart a little bit. This batch here, I made a mistake, and this didn't happen last couple of times I made it, where the batches were stuck together, and so they were actually boiling in balls, and so at the end they kind of broke apart. When you drop it in, if you can kind of pull apart the strings to drop that in so they're not in big clumps, that was going to be really helpful. And here I'm going to take my beautiful sauce here. This is more sauce than I need. I just like to cook the amount of pasta we're going to eat, especially because this is not a store-bought pasta and rolled out with machines. I'm going to gently toss that there, adding as much as you like. And one very important aspect to consider in regards to calcium is when the baby's accumulating calcium. The baby accumulates the most calcium during the third trimester of pregnancy. So during the third trimester, I really work with moms to make sure that their calcium levels are high. And if they need to eat a can of sardines with the bones every day, or large amounts of seeds, they need to eat yogurts, especially sheep yogurts are especially more biocompatible with the diet and have high amounts of calcium, and tons of dark leafy greens. There's no excuse for not having dark leafy greens because it's the easiest of all things you can do. Now I cooked, this batch here is half the pasta that the recipe makes. Now my pasta sauce is enough for more than the full recipe with the sweet potato. The tomato sauce recipe, where you use 2 pounds of tomatoes, is going to be enough for all of the pasta recipe. And we're going to add in our feta cheese. You can add it directly into the mix, or you can add it on top at the end. But remember, even though calcium has higher bioavailability in the cheese, this is not such an important factor when considering calcium intake. What's more important are things like, are you getting enough vitamin D? Are you getting enough magnesium? Or is the salt in your diet too high? Is that inhibiting your calcium absorption? Do you have too high levels of acidity? For a myriad of reasons: high pollution, bad health practices, inflammatory issues, too high protein. All these can make your body really acidic. That's going to cause you to lose calcium, because one way that your body regulates acidity in the body is buffering through calcium, and that's calcium is pulled from the bones to buffer the acidity. Your body has to stay at a neutral pH, and if you don't, you're going to have issues. And I think sometimes people are getting a lot of calcium, but they still have issues because that are related to low calcium intake because their body's so acidic. Now let's check our greens, and we're going to throw those toss those right in there. So I use butter on these, but you absolutely don't have to use butter. And I'm going to put in more than half my greens because I want a lot of greens. They really cook down. It looks like too much, but it's not at all. I'm going to put all those in. I need more calcium. The baby goes on to accumulate more calcium in its body during the first year of life. During the first year, the baby absorbs about 50% of the calcium in the breast milk. So it goes to show you even the baby's absorption is not 100%. And that's why it's so important to view calcium holistically and not just think, oh, I took a supplement, I'm good on my calcium. And that's why I think my role as a nutritionist is so vital to having optimal health for people, because you have to look at things that way. And if you don't know these things are not taught in school. They're not taught in dietitian school. They're not taught in nutrition programs. I taught college classes as an assistant teacher. I didn't know any of this stuff. All the stuff that I'm teaching and conveying to you, I learned through my own research and my own time. And what I was trained in is how to do the research. Of course, that's vital, is learning how to learn and learning how to look at the data and the information there. Whether you use sauce, plain tomato with basil sauce, or the vodka sauce, sweet potato sauce, both recipes call for 200 grams of fresh cheese, or feta cheese, queso fresco, depending upon what kind of cheese, just a mild crumbly cheese. So it's really important in a child's first year of life to consume enough calcium while you're lactating and nursing them, because that's when they primarily are mineralizing their bones and setting up their body for a lifetime of proper function. Now, the child's skeleton continues to accumulate calcium at a much more rapid rate up until their 6th year of life. So their first years, I actually like to include dairy in my son's diet for that reason, because I can give him greens, he'll eat some greens, but it's more of a challenge. And his favorite way to eat greens is chopped up really fine in soups. Here, baby, try some with this different sauce and tell me how good that is. I'll put some more cheese on it with the greens in there. Or, not serving plain greens, I mix the greens into dishes like this, which normally I would not put the greens mixed in. I would make the greens separate on the side, and you have the pasta is kind of the traditional way to do it. But when you do it like this, that's our video on calcium. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you love making this garbanzo pasta dish. It's an egg garbanzo pasta where you get 50% of your calcium needs for the entire day.
I gave the camera a bite.
Oh, you gave the camera a bite. Excellent. And you enjoy making this as much as I enjoy talking to you and teaching you. And I hope you learned something, and I hope you found this information valuable. Check out my books. I'm available for consultations. The rate is usually about $100 an hour, give or take. This is Carmen Cooks.
And Flash Cooks.
Cooking. Yeah?
And it will be so yummy when you make it. I'll try it and be amazing.
It will be amazing. Okay.
That's it.
God! Look, I'm going to be really patient with you interrupting the video, but now if you knock the camera over, I am going to lose all of my holiness. Yeah? Get back. I have so much equipment set up here without protective cover. I have to think about what I'm saying. I already forgot stuff because I'm hanging out with you. I'm having so much fun with you, boo-boo. Lots of fun hanging out with you. But it does derail my thought train.
Düşer mi karanın sonu? Böyle mi solar her renk? Son bir veda mı? Aşkımız, sözlerimiz, burası